Welcome back to another edition of the Interlake Sports Now. I'm Josh Dugan. On this week's episode, we'll recap the Western A Divisional basketball tournament that took place over the weekend and see what area teams made the State A basketball tournament. Plus, we'll look at how Glacier and Flathead closed out their regular seasons, and we have some news related to Glacier boys basketball coach Mark Harkins, who is reportedly retiring at the end of the season. After that, we'll go over two key players from the Montana State and Montana men's and women's basketball teams as they near the end of the regular season and gear up for the Big Sky tournament March 9th through 13th in Boise. Before we get to all that fun stuff, quick reminder, today's episode is brought to you by Nomad, voted the Flathead's best manufacturer. Nomad is a longtime supporter of our local community and sports scene, celebrating 20 years of building great careers and mission-focused custom vehicles. Nomad, a Montana-based company making a global impact. Visit nomadgcs.com for more info. That's nomadgcs.com for more information. All right, let's start out the Class AA ranks, where Flathead and Glacier both had the weekends off, but they did wrap up their regular season with games Thursday night. The Wolfpack boys and girls split their meeting with Missoula Sentinel, with the boys coming out on top 50-39 in Missoula, led by 14 points from Noah Cummings. 9 of those came in the fourth quarter to close things out. As for the Wolfpack girls, they fell 56-51 as they couldn't overcome a 28-point outburst by Sentinel's Emily McElmurray. Charlotte Osler led the Wolfpack with 16 points. Earlier in the week, the Wolfpack boys pulled off a big win over Hellgate. The Knights ended the game 15-1 and undefeated in Western AA play. And what made the win even more special, it was Coach Mark Harkins' final home game as head coach of the Wolfpack, and he has decided to step away after the season. Cone Kostelitz had 16 rebounds for Glacier and led the team with 15 points for a monster double-double. That's the type of win that can really give you some momentum heading into the Western AA tournament on the horizon. So kudos to the Wolfpack on the upset, and major kudos to Coach Mark Harkins on an excellent career. He was always a class act whenever I interacted with him covering Glacier, so easy guy to root for right there. Wishing him the best in retirement, no doubt. And hey, hopefully the end of the season strong. I'm sure he'd love to make another run to state if it works out that way. With that win over Sentinel, we mentioned that put him at exactly, I believe, 200 career wins, so lots to celebrate for the Wolfpack coach. On to Flathead's Thursday matchups, starting with the Bravettes, who lost 55-38 on senior night here in Kalispell. The Knights went on a 16-1 run in the third quarter to pull away. Kennedy Moore dropped 16 to lead the way for Flathead. The Braves dropped their road matchup with Hellgate 67-49. Gabe Sims had a team-high 13 points for Flathead in the loss. The two teams will meet again in the first round of the Western AA Divisional Tourney later this week. The Glacier boys will take on Helena Capital at the tournament, while the Glacier girls will meet Hellgate, and the Flathead Bravettes take on Missoula Big Sky, who went 15-3 on the year, so that should be a tough test. All right, let's move along to the Western A Divisional, starting with the girls, where the Big Fork Valkyries haven't missed a beat after moving up from Class B to Class A this season. The defending Class B state champions punched their ticket to the Western A Divisional finale and clinched themselves a trip to state tourney with a 61-36 semifinals win over Dillon on Friday in Butte. The Vals followed that up Saturday with a win over Frenchtown in the Western A finale, and although it was a tight first half, the Vals only led 17-14. Big Fork pulled away in the second half to win 41-29 and win the Western A title in their first year playing in the conference. Braden Gunlock had a game-high 17 points for the Vals, and Avid Davey chipped in 11. Major shout-out to the defending Class B state champs on making the move to Western A and winning the division title in their first year. Awesome stuff. Next up for the Vals is the state tournament, and they'll be joined by Browning as the other area team in the state tournament, who beat Columbia Falls in a loser-out game Saturday to make the tourney. Jarrell Whitegrass led the way for Browning in the win over Columbia Falls with 16 points. On to the boys' Western A Divisional, where Columbia Falls was the Lone Valley area team to make the State A tournament in Butte. The Wildcats clinched their trip to state with a win in a loser-out game versus Frenchtown, where the Wildcats balled out. They won 77-47. Chase Hill was money from the three-point line in the win, going 7 of 9 from beyond the arc and 13 of 15 from the field overall. So an extremely efficient night for Hill, who had 33 very efficient points. Best of luck to Columbia Falls at the state tournament. We'll keep you posted how they perform at state. Takes place next week. And best of luck to Big Fork and Brownie on the girls' side at state as well. Always great to see our local teams performing in the postseason in their respective sports. Let's round out our prep sports coverage for this week with our poster player of the week, generously sponsored by your friends at Clark Auto Group here in Kalispell, featuring 3 local stores: Clark Nissan, Clark Hyundai, and Mountain Auto and Marine, home of the $29.99 oil change and the friendliest staff in town. And don't forget, you can see Clark Auto Group's 4-page special insert in the Daily Interlake every Sunday for the latest deals, events, and employee spotlight of the week. All right, this week's poster player of the week is Flathead senior Kendi Moore, who has been the go-to scorer for the Bravettes the last 2 years and played a key part in the Bravettes' Western AA title last year and the run to the state finale last year. So Moore, one of those names to watch as the Bravettes are going to the Western AA tournament this year. They might not have the top seed or anything like that, but with a player like Moore who's been experienced playing in big games like last season and a couple other key members from that core back, you never know. The best of luck to the Flathead Bravettes. They could definitely make a run down in Butte at the Western AA tournament this week, so best of luck to Flathead, no doubt about that. Shout out, as always, to Clark Auto Group for the support. Much appreciated. Definitely got to check out that section in the Sunday edition of the Interlake to stay up to date with Clark Auto Group's fun stuff. That'll be a 4-page special every Sunday, so got to check that out. With the end of college basketball regular season rapidly approaching, let's break down 2 key players from the Bobcats and Griz men's and women's basketball teams as the teams look to make a run at the Big Sky Tournament March 9th through 13th in Boise. Starting with the Lady Griz, who are third in the Big Sky and currently lead the entire country. I had to double-check this one. Very impressive stat. They're the top team in the nation in three-pointers made per game with over 11 shots made from deep per ball game. Their first key player for the Lady Griz is going to be leading scorer Carmen G. Feller, putting up 13 points per game and a Big Sky Conference best 1.2 blocks per game. Danny Barsh has also been a key piece for the Lady Griz, averaging a double-double almost with 9.5 points per game and a team-high 9.9 rebounds per game. Best in the Big Sky. Barsh is also averaging 1.4 steals per game and a block per game. So you do the math. That's a great overall team effort you get from Danny Barsh, one of the key players for the Lady Griz, no doubt. On to the Bobcat women, who are fourth in the conference standings. Caitlin Lamardo has been a driving force of Montana State's success with 11.1 points per game and a team-high 6.5 rebounds. She also averages over a steal per game, so Lamardo, another one of these very complete players in the Big Sky, definitely makes a huge difference for the Bobcats when she's on the floor. Next up is Mara Dykstra, who is second on the team in rebounds per game and leads the team in assists with 2.7 per game, fourth leading scorer at 10 points per game, and averages nearly 1 steal and 1 block per game. So overall, you look at that, gets it done in every aspect of the game. Those are the type of players who can really help you win some ball games in the conference tournament. It is worth mentioning for the Bobcats, Lexi Deedon went down with an injury earlier in the season, and through the 6 games she did play, she was the Bobcats' leading scorer and rebounder. So if healthy, she likely would have been in this conversation. On to the Montana State men's team, who sit at 6th place in the conference standings. First off, senior guard Robert Ford, one of the best players in the Big Sky across the board this season. Ford leads the Bobcats with 15 points per game. He averages almost 8 boards per game, which is extremely impressive for a 6-foot guard. And he's the Big Sky leader in steals with 2.9 per contest. Overall, Ford is one of those guys that leaves on the floor every night, the type of player every coach wants to have on their team because he never takes a play off. He plays extremely hard, and he has a knack for making clutch plays on both offense and defense. Next up, for the Bobcats, 6'7" sophomore forward Brandon Walker, who has seen his playing time increase down the stretch. He's second on the team with 13.9 points per game to go with 4 rebounds. When Walker gets it going, he can be a big problem for opposing teams. And although he's only a sophomore, he could be a major difference maker if he's in a groove. When the Big Sky Tourney comes around, he could be a difference maker. Brian Gorecki and Eddie Turner III are both honorable mentions for the Cats as they've had big roles with the team. Last up is Montana. The Montana Grizzlies, who are tied with Northern Colorado for 2nd place in the conference standings, and they have a very deep roster, so this could have gone a number of ways. But Aiden Moody and his 15.6 points per game have definitely been a major key to the Grizzlies and their success. Moody is shooting over 90% from the free throw line, and he's shooting 36% from beyond the arc. So he's one of those guys you can call a walking bucket, as basketball fans like to say, because he's always looking for a shot. If he's open, he's going to take it and likely make it. The Grizz offense is at its best when Moody is knocking down shots, makes them very hard to stop. Let's close this list out with Montana's Deshaun Thomas, who is averaging 14.3 points per game while hitting over 40% of his shots from beyond the arc and knocking down nearly 80% of his free throws, adding 5.6 rebounds per game. Good for second on the team. And you have a guy who gets it done as a complete player for the Grizz. The Grizz have a lot of that. Very balanced team, and Thomas is one of the key contributors, no doubt. He also leads the team with 1 block per game. When Thomas and Moody are hitting shots, the Grizz have the potential to make a deep run and potentially win the Big Sky Tournament. So they're 2 guys who, if they're hitting their shots on offense, completely change the outlook of that offense and the way that team looks. So 2 guys to watch, no doubt. We'll keep you updated on how the Montana schools close out their regular seasons over the next week and a half. And then it's time for the Big Sky Conference Tournament. Alrighty, that'll do it for this week's Sports Now. It's been another very basketball-heavy show, but it's that time of the year in the sports world. March Madness is on the horizon. All the other prep sports have wrapped up, so we're pretty much talking hoops right now for a couple weeks, waiting for some Montana Grizzlies or Bobcats football news to drop. We haven't had much of that other than the Grizz DC announcement last week, Ronnie Bradford going to the NFL. We talked about that, but no further updates. So thank you as always to our friends at Nomad GCS and Clark Auto Group for the support, and thank you to everybody listening and watching the show for taking the time to check out this week's Sports Now. On that note, I'm Josh Dugan, and I'm out.